Lovely, lovely, wonderful people. A pleasant evening to everybody. You know, beauties, I was listening to a good reflective, I wouldn't necessarily say sermon, but this pastor, he does a morning thing most mornings, and he was speaking on the topic of vulnerability. That is a word that is possibly tabooed, and many people are afraid of it because they don't want whatever it is that they share to be used against them. But I want people to understand the importance of being vulnerable. I know it is a very, very, very scary place to be, and you can't just trust any and everybody. You have to ask God for the gift of discernment to know who to trust with important and deep information. God encourages us to really, he says, confess your faults one to another, because there is power in the confession, and it perhaps will give you perspective in how to deal with our different perspectives in the best way to deal with something. And it doesn't mean that you're going to go to every Tom, Dick, Harry, Jill, and Jane, but you find that core person or people, just a handful or less, in which you share. And I want you to understand that it says being vulnerable means allowing others to see your authentic self. Yes, they can see the real you, and people like to connect with people on a real level. It's allowing others to see your authentic self, your emotions, fears, struggles, and hopes. They get to see that you're human too, even though they know, but that when they see it live and direct, it does something to the mind, rather than just the polished or guarded version of you. I don't know why people think that people are thinking that you're perfect. They know you're not, so it makes no sense to act that way. While vulnerability can feel uncomfortable, because we're not trained to be that. We're trained to keep everything to ourselves and not belly ache, so to speak, to others. It is one of the most powerful tools for emotional growth, connection, and healing. So let's unpack vulnerability and as to why it is important. One, it builds genuine connection. Authenticity attracts authenticity. You notice authentic people just fall in love with each other. They fall right in love with each other, and it remains that way. When you're open about your real experiences, it gives others permission to do the same. True intimacy, whether romantic, familial, or friendship basis, whether it's a romantic, man and wife, or husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, or your family, or you're just your friends, it cannot exist without vulnerability. You cannot tell me you have a true friend and you're good friends and they know nothing about you and you know nothing about them. You're not friends. It bridges emotional distance and creates trust when they realize, oh my God, you've entrusted me with something as deep as this, and I'm entrusted you. I feel close to you. People can't really love you if they don't really know you. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. You notice you can't really love you, really respect you when they really don't know you. That is absolutely true. And remember that respect is a component of love. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity, according to Brené Brown. It promotes emotional and mental health, yes. Hiding emotions or pretending to be fine when you're not increases stress, anxiety, and loneliness. It does, because you want to talk and you keep holding it because of fear. I don't want it to be used against me. I don't want them to spread propaganda on me. So let me keep it. It's bothering you because you want to share it. And if you notice, when you get that off your chest, you feel comfortable. That is how God created us. That is why he used the terminology, confess your faults, your sins, your weaknesses, that vulnerability one to another, that you may help to build the other person up. Vulnerability allows for emotional release. It lets you process feelings instead of suppressing them. Too many people are suppressing their feelings. Being honest about your emotions helps you to understand yourself better and to grow emotionally. If you're not honest and you don't share, it is very difficult for you to grow. you're not really going to grow. You're going to be stuck. Stand still. Can't move. It strengthens relationships. Sharing your weaknesses and needs shows trust, and when someone receives that with compassion, the bond deepens naturally. It creates reciprocity, meaning they share back with you. When you open up, others often do too, building a cycle of openness, because they realize if you can be this authentic about your weaknesses, or not necessarily weaknesses, just about who you are, and they sense that genuineness about you, that authenticity about you, then they're going to feel comfortable. You open the door, you say, come in, authentic, come in, genuine. That's what you're doing. It prevents misunderstandings, or mitigates, I would say. People can't support you if they don't know what's really going on, which is true. That is true. People like to know. You can't get away from that. That's how we are created. And are really fast. It's just a curiosity gene that is within us. And curiosity is important. That is how we get to explore the world and know things about the world. It builds courage and self-confidence. Oh, I can tell you from experience, or experiences, that it does. Vulnerability isn't weakness. You're not weak when you share your weaknesses or your flaws or who you are with others. You are not weak. It's strength in honesty. It takes courage to show up imperfectly. Perfectly imperfect. The more you practice it, the less you fear rejection. So what if one person rejects you or two? Somebody else will not. You will find that person or people who will not reject you. Because you start realizing your worth doesn't depend on perfection or approval of others. It's approval addiction. You need to stop it. When you face your own fears and insecurities openly, you become mentally stronger and more resilient. I can attest to that. It creates space for healing and growth. It naturally will. You cannot heal what you hide. If you're ill with an illness and you don't go to the doctor and deal with it, how you're going to get healing? Apart from God's supernatural healing. But generally speaking your truth allows light into emotional wounds. It does. Vulnerability helps you seek help, whether that's emotional support, therapy, or guidance from loved ones. It teaches self-compassion. You learn to have compassion on yourself. You don't tear yourself down anymore. You forgive yourself. Accepting that you don't have to have it all together to be worthy of love and belonging. You don't. And it will help you to start to become a better human being. But it requires wisdom. You should not be vulnerable with any and everyone. You have to ask God to guide you to the right person. Don't just watch eyes and nose and mouth and say, if your eye them too big, so I think she trusts her. No, you don't do it. That's nonsense and foolishness. That's something that has no bearing. You have to have discernment to feel the energy. Say, I feel like I can share with her. Or no, I don't think, not her. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or trusting everyone instantly, as I said. Healthy vulnerability means sharing appropriately with safe, trustworthy people who have earned that level of intimacy. And remember, intimacy doesn't only mean romantic. It means a deep connection and bond that you have with your friends, or that, your family, or an intimate partner. It's about openness with discernment. Please, what you call intuition. Knowing when and with whom to be vulnerable with, because some people will take that and give it to all the news network stations, locally and internationally, and totally create a slander. Slander in the etymology means speaking truth, but with evil intent. Slander is not gossip, it is speaking truth. So what you share, they do it, they spread the news because they know it will create harm in one form or another. So being vulnerable is important because it is how we build trust and connection, experience love and belonging, foster emotional health, develop resilience and courage, and allow healing and authenticity. Just ask God to guide you. And the only being that you tell a 100% things to is God. And that is why you should pray every day, as often as you can. But you have that friend or friends or family or whomever, confidants, caring people who you can share some things with, that they can help you and build you and edify you, and you can edify them. Anyway, guys, thank you. You know what to do with TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lions.